The AMA has officially started with the first official question in the chat from Ilya. While we wait for Jaya, we can answer this.
I think
I have arrived just in time for the first
hey.
question.
Nice.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome,
good
everyone.
To be here. Fantastic to see so many wonderful people in this video call.
It's a local record, no? 102 people, over 100 we're here.
Yes, I think it is.
Yeah, I think it is too. Let's see how our servers manage.
Yeah.
Indeed, guys. Once again, I would like to call your attention to the fact that this AMA is a bit of a test of our Jitsi server's capabilities, which have been upped by quite a bit before, or like in preparation for this AMA. Also, internally, we told everyone not to have calls on this specific server during the AMA. But yeah, fingers crossed that we don't crash anything. The other thing that I wanted to bring everybody's attention to is that I'm recording this session. So if you don't want to show your face, or if you don't want to let people hear your voice, then you can leave your questions in the chat as well, and then you can stay totally anonymous. Sorry, Jaya, you put up your hand. Go ahead.
Not at all. That was just me waving.
All right. So should we already get started with our first question? Ilya asked the question.
Yes,
let's go.
It's quite a nice one. It's quite gonna frame what a shipyard should be and will be all about. So the first question is, reading it out loud, how do you guys want or see the establishment of community-friendly atmosphere besides of shipyard activities? Is that usually hard to establish, perhaps by running games, etc.? So, Sudo, do you want to take this question as head of community admin, maybe?
Well, it is kind of a tricky question, right? We already have kind of a beautiful, friendly atmosphere within our core community, and then of course we want that basically to be to grow a little bit and include quite a few new people by the end of Shipyard. So. Part of the big secret master plan of Shipyard is to enable you guys not only to hang out with NIM and learn about NIM, but also to get to know each other. And once we have a core community of people who know each other and have worked maybe on stuff together with each other, then the friendly community atmosphere is sort of guaranteed. At least that's my line of thinking. What do you think, Hux?
Yeah, and also just to mention that. A big part of the magic or the success for our mission succeeding in the future is relying on people's own ideas and self-organizational skills, in a sense that, so there's, I think what NIM is building is a totally new vision of a future internet and the new future internet, and I think there's a ton of things to do around that already. Like you can operate infrastructure, you can create, I don't know, illustrations, sort of education materials, also sort of create things which develop this vision further. And I think that it's for me at least, it feels sometimes it's a way too much open space where anything is possible, and it's really hard to choose what to do, to create impact or to further the vision or to what ideas to think about. And I think that that's what I'd hope for from shipyard cadets and participants to.
It's official. Renamed Shipnard.
Yes. Yeah, it's sort of to bring your own ideas and create activities together with us and think of new ways of how we could create cool stuff together. And organize community events, also virtual events, maybe just for the sake of knowing each other and knowing what our shared head contains, what are the ingredients there. Maybe, I don't know, it was a bit poetic, no?
Very poetic. I'm gonna be the devil in the room.
Please go.
In my experience, actually, the strongest community comes about from overcoming adversity together. So, I think in Shipyard, one of the ways to do that is, there's these exams coming up. And of course, an exam is where you have your chance to earn some rewards. And there's several ways that you can go about doing it, right? One way is to just like isolate yourself in your own little bubble and, just dive in and try to be the best in class. The other way is to start a study group, right? So get together with your mates. This is what we used to do when I was doing some very intense studying at London School of Economics is instead of trying to cover all the material yourself, you actually divide it up and you help each other out, learning, the bits that you need to learn without having to read every single paper, because it can be a lot. So overcoming adversity together is a really good way of bonding and connecting with people, in my experience.
Good point, boss. Barney, you put up your hand. Want to ask a question, maybe? Or was it an accident?
Maybe an accident.
You can unmute yourself and ask a question. All right, River Zoned, go ahead. All right, we're just testing out the thumbs up functionality. I see. Okay, so let's take the next question from chat. And guys, please feel free to put your hands up if you want to ask the question in voice, and if you just want to leave it in chat, then you can also do that. And we're keeping a close eye on the chat. So I have a question about O numbers is asking. I have a question about scaling plans. Does NIM already have any plans, any partners which are ready to use the Mixnet after launch? I mean, big players in tech or any businesses. Jaya, I'll leave this one to you as head of strategy.
Yes, we absolutely do. I would be hesitant to give names quite yet because that should come when the Mixnet is ready. But NIM from the very beginning, those of us kind of in the executive team have been quite a few people have been in the tech industry for quite a while and have quite a broad network. And there's more and more kind of companies that are starting to realize that although they might have solved a lot of privacy and security problems using things like end-to-end encryption and other things, the metadata layer is still massively exposed. So here, of course, I'm talking about Signal. I don't know if anyone follows Signal or uses the Signal app, but it's a messaging app that is rapidly increasing. I think they reached over 1 billion users quite recently, and really the usage of Signal has skyrocketed ever since it turned out that WhatsApp, under the leadership of course, Meta, changed their terms and conditions. So you have apps like WhatsApp, which yes, they have they're a lot safer than Telegram, for example, but and they do have end-to-end encryption, but they still have a little bit too much data sharing going across the different divisions of Meta, Meta business. And so Signal is a really good alternative to that. I recommend everyone use it. And NIM and Signal are we're very close. We knew Harry's a good friend of Moxie, who founded the Signal app. I know Meredith very well, who's the current president of Signal. And Meredith is talking pretty much all the time about the problem of metadata surveillance right now, for a lot of different reasons, partially because she knows it's one of the vulnerabilities that Signal still faces. So a NIM integration is very obvious there. But also because Meredith actually has a background in artificial intelligence, and so she knows the value of metadata as a type of data structure that's very useful for machine learning and AI systems. So yeah, we that's just to mention one of the potential partners. But I think it's a good question also because it points to people's understanding of NIM a little bit, right? So the important thing with NIM is we obviously have a kind of B2C layer and then a B2B layer, right? And mass adoption is obviously going to come through the B2B layer when people, existing apps and systems actually integrate NIM, and users, can be using NIM without maybe even realizing it, and it just operates as a kind of background protocol the same way that TLS does. We are, of course, launching the NIM VPN, though, which will be an end-user facing app. But things like Signal integrations is not something that will happen until sometime, earliest sometime next year, because towards, second half of next year, something like this, because, scaling from, what frankly is not more than 1,000 or so users at this point to, 1 billion users, it takes some preparation. We need a lot more gateways, a lot more exit nodes, and we need to improve latency, and all of that is in the pipeline. So, this is going step by step, making sure that we can walk safely and properly before we start sprinting. But once we start sprinting, it's going to go very fast. So yeah.
Thanks for that answer, boss. Before we go ahead with the next question, I want to call your attention to the polls tab. So next to the chat, up top left, if you're on desktop, there's also a poll tab. And our dear friend Salazar is going to be sharing. There's already a poll up, and he's going to be sharing a few polls over the course of the AMA. So if you want to make your voice heard in a poll, then you can also do that. All right. So next question is from 100. The question is there any information on how much using NIM, the NIM mixnet or NIM VPN is going to cost for a user? Will calculation be time-based or on a per data volume user basis? I'm actually happy to take this one. So
yeah, go for it.
So initially, we did consider obviously multiple models when you're figuring something as important out as pricing. You obviously play around with different ways of thinking, and we did think about creating a sort of data. Like a data allowance based model, but then it looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, Jaya, or if I'm saying something that I shouldn't say yet, but it looks like we're going to have unlimited plans, just like any other VPN on the market, because it's more familiar to people and probably easier to understand.
Yeah, we can't actually make any clear promises on what the model is going to look like quite yet, but we will be working quite closely with our core community and early adopters to develop the right type of plan. And that means you guys. So yeah, stay tuned.
And one more thing that Harry shared earlier in our Telegram chats. So we don't know the exact pricing yet. Obviously, a lot goes into figuring out something as important as pricing, but we're aiming for like a regular VPN sort of price range. So don't expect anything very low or very high. If you've ever used a VPN, it's going to be by and large in that range.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the next question. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Hux.
There's also a hand up from Crypto, and he also has a question which we overlooked a bit before. Do you wanna ask the question with your voice script, or should I?
Did you plug in your mic yet?
Cool. Or okay, so I'm gonna just read it out for you until.
No, here we go. Try now.
Okay, you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Hey.
All right, brilliant. Just say hello to everyone. Yeah, is there a bug bite in place, and if so, what's the scope?
There is no bug bounty at the moment. No.
Okay. Do you plan to do one in the future?
Probably yes, but it's all when it comes to bug bounties, it's always about like finding the right time and moment for that to happen.
Yeah,
So
I totally understand that.
Yeah, so we've got like auditors that have been auditing your wallet and that sort of thing. So like professional contracts and that thing. But oh, sorry, I'm getting a lot of wind coming through on your mic.
Sorry, I do apologize.
That's all right. So yeah, we had the NIM wallet audited already. So the wallet is the likely first candidate for a bug bounty.
Okay,
and let's see if our community is better than the official auditors.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because obviously at present, really, there's only the wallet and the website. I was thinking more on the website side of things. That's probably where somebody's going to pick something up, I would guess, from personal experience.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a good shout actually with the website. We're not quite ready yet because we're going to do some pretty fundamental. Like we just put out a new website and there's going to be some pretty major changes. But probably in a few months' time would be the right time for bug bounty on that. The wallet is the obvious first candidate. Are you keen on a bug bounty?
Very much so. Yeah.
Cool. It's good to know.
I mean, not just yourselves. I mean, I try to. It's only a hobby, and it's far from anything professional, anything like that. But I just tend to like, especially if I'm going to invest in something, I want to know everything's safe.
Yep, absolutely.
And to be fair, from seeing what you're doing and just hearing yourself speak today, I mean, it's the first time I've ever seen you speak or anything like that. I can see from my point of view that you're crossing the T's and dotting the I's.
That's a really good point.
Great to hear.
Nice one.
Thanks, Sudo.
Yeah,
for the question.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
I'm looking at the chat. Do you have the next question, Hux?
I have a list here. So there's one question about ambassador program. There's one question about supporting the NIM token price and validator and mixed-node operators. And there's one question about what are the main skills we need to have to participate in Shipyard. So should we take ambassador, NIM token, or main skills for Shipyard? What do you think?
Let's take them all one by one. Let's go.
Boom. So is there any plans for an ambassador program at all? There is an ambassador program. It's run by Mikola. He's going to be co-leading the visionary track with me. And that's going to be, if you're interested in becoming an ambassador, you can already look at the Zili quests. But even more so, just make sure to score high on the tests and apply for the visionary track. And that's kind of where we're hoping to see the best candidates for future NIM ambassadors who are new to the community. And with that, did it answer the question for whoever asked this? Yeah. Thank you so much. Great. Okay. So Vida, the next question is around, do you plan to somehow support the NIM price? Jaya, do you want to start with it and then I take it? Or should I start with this one too?
Yeah, no, I can start. That's fine. Yes, of course, supporting the price is important. Everyone who's involved in crypto understands that the market is a rough ride these days. And, the price is very important to the core team because, as you say yourself, it is what sustains nodes. And we want to make sure that nodes understand that it is profitable and sustainable for them to run the nodes. When the market is looking the way that it's looking right now, I think it's very important to look a little bit at beyond the kind of immediate ups and downs of the market. Like, it's very easy to get depressed when you see a downward curve and then get very excited when you see an upward curve. It's much more important to look at the kind of longer term fundamentals of any project and understand, not just where the token's at right now, but the actual potential in the longer run. And that's where, at NIM, we do feel fairly confident. Like, we know that things are not looking like super nice right now, but we believe very strongly in what we're building. We know we're building something that has a very real demand out in the world. This is not a speculative token. This is not a speculative project. This is a real project that has a very real mission. And is building very real tech to address one of the biggest privacy problems, both on a B2B and a B2C level. So, Hux, anything to add there?
Yeah, it was a fantastic answer, and it's great that you started because now I can add my 2 cents that I wanted to add to your thoughts in a way that part of the reason why there's not as many NIM token holders as there could be is due to the tokens have been a bit abandoned like a stepchild in a way that the user experience of where to buy them, how to bridge them from ERC to the native Nix chain, and how to stake them. All these guides and sort of internet or online flows have just been started to get developed to a point where it's super easy for everyone to buy the tokens and use them from their wallet. And part of that effort is can I spoil the new squad announcement that there's going to be dedicated people working on this experience?
Sure. This is alpha information, people. You're
Very
part of the
Yes.
exclusive crew to hear about this. Go ahead, Hux.
Yeah, thank you for the go ahead. So that there's been a new squad setup with a single task to improve the token experience, user experience around the token, to make it easier for people to use, to make it more transparent where it moves and how it's working and what different chains and all of the information which was sort of really you had to dig it out yourself is just going to be made a lot more accessible and smooth. And part of this, which is not already alpha, but maybe new information for some, that the current way of swapping Ethereum NIM tokens to native NIM tokens is done through the Gravity Bridge, which is quite it's a Web3 tool, trustless, but it's a bit harder to use. And to ease that pain to answer for some of the requests within the NIM community, there is going to be a internal swap feature inside the NIM wallet developed during this autumn too.
As far as I noticed over the past 1+ year, this has been probably the biggest pain point of the NIM community. So I was super excited to learn that we're going to be able to fix it. Bridging is kind of clunky right now. Understandably, people don't like it a lot. and this will simplify the user experience by quite a bit.
And just one more thing to add. So for anyone who's these words and this talk is sounds not understandable, that there's gonna be Tokenomics 101 class with me, where I'm gonna be taking from the ground up to explain everything around NIM, which is Web3 driven, and there's also gonna be a workshop where we're gonna go through the whole NIM token journey together. So in a sense, for whoever of those in the audience who are not super familiar with using a Web3 wallet or don't know what these words necessarily mean, don't be afraid. There's going to be 2 classes on level 2 focusing on this exact topic.
I'd just like to point out that, in terms of the NIM token itself, I mean, what we typically see in terms of the NIM token is it's what I would call its actual price. So NIM has a market maker, but everyone is kind of neutral in this. So what we're not, like, NIM is not, I don't know, artificially inflating the price or doing anything like that. That's just like the actual price on the market right now. So what we would hope is that as the VPN launches, so let's say, you have 10 people, they buy the VPN for $10 a month. That's $100 NIM purchase from the VPN, so forth and so on. So what we're hoping is that we do hope that, unlike most other Web3 projects, that the NIM price will be supported by actual usage. And as a project, for better or for worse, we do avoid kind of doing anything with the token in terms of other than giving it utility. So, we don't currently do buybacks and that sort of, or burns, that sort of thing, because we actually think people will use this token and use this network, and so we're not really interested in kind of artificially kind of any artificial movement on the price. We do have a market maker, so price movement should be smooth in either direction. And obviously, what we've seen happen over the last few months is that every once in a while it seems like one of our venture capitalists kind of decides to sell some tokens. That's happened twice so far, and both times it's been because they've essentially capitulated to bad market dynamics. We hope that won't happen again in the future, but we've survived those, and I think once the people start using the token more and more, then we'll see that will help the situation quite a lot.
Thank you for the info, Harry.
Cool. So we've got another question here. Maybe there's another one that you want to take, Harry, from Hugo Bro, asking, is NIM competing with other decentralized privacy mixnet companies like Hopper, or can there be partnerships and integrations?
I don't really see a reason to. What would you gain from integrating against Hopper, right? So, we know Hopper has worse privacy features and the code works less well. So I guess if you wanted to put a flaky mixnet on top of a good mixnet, like, people can do that. We're not going to prevent that from happening. But I don't see technically what utility that would give you. In terms of other decentralized mixnets, I mean, there are uses, for others to some extent. I mean, in general, like, Elixir is kind of interesting. It's probably has some scaling issues. We would imagine, like, a classical Chaumian mix is limited by the number of messages in a single mix in a cascade. But if you're aiming at only financial transactions, that might be a good model, or for voting. So, we do, and typically we would support usage of that. And, unlike us, Elixir is post-quantum, so we are working on post-quantum resistance, but we aren't there yet. I think the other technologies besides Hopper and Elixir that call themselves mixnets either don't work, like the HashCloak mixnet, which is a fork of our old software, or they're not actually mixnets. So, like, Loki is a version of I2P. I think Loki may have rebranded themselves Oxen, and that's just a different network, right? So that's not an actual mixnet. That's what you call garlic routing. So that's message-based circuit routing, which we're not sure if that design makes any sense. And technically, it's not clear if it does either. It's historically had a pretty bad time when people try to attack it. There are other designs for networks that were complementary to, so Tor pretty complementary to. I haven't seen any of the other decentralized VPNs like Mysterium or Orchid or whatnot have massive uptake. But again, a mixed net is different, and we are happy to work with any privacy enhanced company on terms of like partnerships that promote privacy. So we have the Universal Privacy Alliance, which includes Orchid and everyone else. And that, we all work together to further privacy education and make sure governments don't make privacy illegal.
Super. I'm going to take one more question while Sudo, you dig out who put their hand up. Noder asked, can we test the NIM VPN already? So in answer to that, Noder, please do stick around and graduate to level 2, because that is where, in fact, we're going to have the very first reveal of the beta version of the NIM VPN, and we'll run some testing sessions then. So yeah, that's coming up in a few weeks.
I'm not sure how you wanted me to dig up who put their hands up, but I have no idea. So if someone wants to unmute and ask a question, then go ahead.
That's Firmer 2005 put their hand up.
Yeah, Firmer. Go ahead if you want.
Otherwise, we can take another one from the chat.
Okay. The next question is: will it be possible to run mixed nodes on a mobile device? I would guess. I mean, possible, yes, but I don't see how that makes sense, given the requirements of running a mixed node, especially when the mixed net will be under a bit more load than it is today. I think it wouldn't make a lot of sense. But correct me, guys, if I'm wrong.
Yeah, we can't stop you, but you'll get less rewards because your phone is probably offline and not connected to unless you have like the mother of all phone data plans, probably not able to ship lots of packets around compared to like a desktop machine or server that has a high speed internet connection.
The mother of all data plans. I like that, which actually ties into the next question pretty well. Also from Hugo Bro, how profitable is running a NIM node? I don't have any recent numbers at hand. Do you guys know how profitable is running a node?
I think the APY last I checked was something like 17.5, but maybe we have some node operators in the room that can give some more. I mean, of course, the thing with running NIM mixed nodes is there is not a kind of like the reward is dependent on a lot of factors. The main factor being your reputation and your performance. So while we can say that there's a kind of general APY of 17.5%, it's all up to how well your node works and how much it actually contributes to the active set. So, but it's looking in terms of overall rewards right now, it's looking pretty good. Cool. And actually, I think we're probably due. Yeah, in a few weeks' time, we will have a token economic update as well. As usual, which happens on pretty much a quarterly basis. Claudia gives a bit of an update on what the token economics are looking like for mixed nodes. Someone's got their hand up. We've got Audrey, aka
Goldstream.
Let's go.
Well, guys, can you hear me well?
Yes, we hear you perfectly.
I have a question about the coming level 3 of Shipyard, particularly about squads. Have you already thought about the size of these squads? How many people will be in one squad? And just another question here, can a person participate in more than one squad, meaning related to different directions? Thank you.
Totally. Hux, do you want to take it away? This is your vision.
Absolutely. So around the idea of squads, we're pretty much relying on people to self-organize and define their own shape and flavor of how they imagine accomplishing things together. So in that sense, to answer both of your questions directly, I think we don't really have a a desired number around how many members consist a squad. I can imagine a super cool 4-people squad, and as much also as a, I don't know, 20, 40 people, DAO would also qualify as being a squad. And sort of the main idea is to one that we would like to see is squads having different competencies. So ideally, a good candidate would also have members operating mixed nodes, and while having maybe some coders or hackers who can start, helping putting together a website, and also have at least one creative person who sort of, directs where the vision of the squad might go. Sorry, please refrain from doing this. That was a bit rude, or I'm not sure what you said, but I for sure didn't understand at least. But if you have a question, just raise your hand and we chime you in. And so how we imagine is that we already have a couple of squads inside the NIM community, which we're gonna sort of showcase in a playful way. And I'm super happy to actually let all of you guys know that we already have a aspiring squad forming from Shipyard participants. And I would just like to ask Super Maya if you're still on the call and you would like to just talk a little bit about of what your squad looks like and what's the aim there, or what do you think going forward?
Hello, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes,
Hey.
hello.
All right, awesome. So, yeah, I actually know of a couple of squads that are trying to form up, so I can give a little bit of an overview about them. But the first squad I'm going to be talking about, it's a squad that involves a couple of teachers and kind of volunteers at social projects that work in various social projects here in Brazil, more specifically, and they're trying to see a way that they can make it work with a NIM squad where they can bring education towards tech stuff and also privacy to those social projects. So that's a really nice squad that I'm looking forward to see how it develops. The other squad that I also know is forming up in Brazil. It's a squad formed of a lot of tech students, so software engineer students that want to learn about privacy and building on Web3. So, like Hug said, it's a bit diverse. So there's like people who are more into DevOps, people who are more into security, people who want to code smart contracts and stuff like that. And there's also a squad that's been forming a little bit before Shipyard, but maybe now it can get like gear up and become like a big thing, which is a squad of node operators in Latam called Tropi Operadores. So those are the 3 squads that I know that are trying to form up. I also want to know the answer to a question that I forgot his name. I'm sorry, but he asked if somebody can participate in more than one squad. That's something I would like to know as well. And there was a question in the chat that I saw, like, when will squads be released and stuff like that, and when can you start doing it? I would say, like, start now. Like, you don't need to ask permission to create a group and get with friends and start building something. So, like, start your squad now. The earlier, the better. Like, get to know each other, and when it comes, you'll be ready to announce your squad.
Yes, thank you for that motivational part in the end. That was super well said. And just to answer the question and also sort of address do you want to go, Jaya, now, or should I answer this one?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So yes, I think that people can participate in more squads, but when we think about them, I think it's worth mentioning that it should be quality over quantity. So it doesn't, not necessarily the more squads the better, but if there's a dedicated group of people, with different skills and a shared vision, and that's what I see as an ideal team working together towards a shared goal. So in that sense, instead of trying to go for the numbers, go for the quality, and find those people. Start chatting up people in the chat on Element. Even you see here some good questions, you might resonate with someone, hit them up in a DM over some of the channels, and start if you want to do this and want to invest time and sort of show up in the community, then this is just exactly the right time to start self-organizing. And we're going to be dropping hints from next week on on what we'll be looking for exactly in terms of KPIs.
Yeah, I would also give a bit of context to people why the whole, or like where the whole squad idea came from in the first place. I'll be honest with everyone. There's a lot of things that I'm excited for Shipyard for, but squads forming is probably the closest to my heart, and that is because this dude over here, Hux, basically ended up here on this call and also co-creating Shipyard with us and the team as part of a squad. So it's always very exciting to see people who are mission aligned and who work together with us, on achieving our goals. And squads are basically the breeding ground of that, super cool people getting to get their hands dirty and maybe even work on the next iteration of Shipyard together with us, or whatever it may be. The sky is the limit when it comes to squads.
Super. We've got another question here that's directed at Harry, but I think a couple of others can also answer it. How does a NIM VPN compare privacy-wise to Tor? Isn't there a consensus that mixed nets cannot be low latency enough to support regular internet browsing?
So, I mean, that is consensus, but we also have demos of you can browse the web relatively slowly over NIM. You lose a lot of privacy properties. You can use speedy mode. It's a bit faster. You can use the normal mixed net. It's a bit slower. But you can indeed browse the web over NIM. It's just maybe slower than people expect. However, we are currently looking into making a kind of system where traffic that is not high speed, otherwise known as low latency traffic, that traffic can essentially go through one tunnel, which take it kind of to more classic 2-hop WireGuard DVPN, and traffic that, like, cryptocurrency or instant messaging or even file storage or audio video conferencing that can go through the mixed net. So we're currently looking into looking at both modes, seeing if we can easily layer more classic DVPN style stuff on top of the mixed net as well. And we'll see. I mean, I think we'll have more news on that probably in a few weeks. But in terms of the general question is, we will definitely have the world's fastest mixed net. I think there's no question there. And now that mixed net may still not be fast enough for everyone, but the mixed net infrastructure itself, you can always imagine packets going into one gateway, skipping the mixed net and just coming out the other gateway, and that would effectively be a 2-hop VPN that should have speeds comparable, if not better, than Tor.
Thanks for that. The next question, I think, which we get asked a lot from the community, when will there be a NIM Connect mobile app? I don't know who asked it. I'm looking at this collated list that we have over here. Jaya, want to take it?
I can't give a date on that at the minute. Harry, do you have anything to add there?
On the NIM mobile app, I mean, I think the focus on the wallet. Well, so there's two different apps, right? One is the wallet, and one is the NIM Connect, the VPN. So the wallet, I'm not sure when that's going to work on mobile, because the wallet people are essentially prioritizing development of the ERC20 Cosmos swap feature to make people's life easier, so they don't have to deal with Gravity Bridge. The kind of NIM Connect VPN product, that should definitely work on mobile. That will definitely work on Android. iOS will take longer because Apple just has a different ecosystem stack, and it's hard to get things on the Apple App Store. But yeah, we'll definitely, like, the VPN itself will definitely support Windows and Android and Linux out of the box. That's the current plan.
Yeah, so the way to think about NIM Connect is that it's slowly going to morph into the NIM VPN instead. And what you'll see, like, NIM Connect at the moment only works with a limited set of applications, where the NIM VPN will be for the full stack of your.
And I'll just looking at the questions going by in the chat. Yeah, there's tons of places non-technical people can contribute, particularly looking at the docs, helping with advertising, just thinking about privacy in general, making it easy for people to understand privacy, particularly if you speak more than one language. Translating material and making material in your own language is super useful. And then that people often underestimate how important that is. We need to make sure this information is widely accessible to every corner of the globe. There's also problems that are technical. And if you are a programmer, one way you could speed up development of mobile wallet would be if you're a mobile dev. So I think NIM is looking for mobile devs, but you don't need to ask us. It's a permissionless system. Nothing is stopping someone. In fact, we'd love it if someone built a mobile Android version of the wallet for us. We just don't have inside of our current dev team that capacity to do that, plus the swaps, plus all the other stuff. But yeah, if someone wants to do that, that would be wonderful. And for C++ devs, I mean, the NIM stack is mostly in Rust. I would recommend learning Rust. It's like if you know C++, Rust is considerably easier, but there's still lots of stuff you can do in C++. Depends what your kind of focus is on in terms of C++, right? So, I myself have programmed in C++. You can do really excellent kind of work there. Everything from kind of low-level drivers. Nothing's preventing people from replicating and building their own compatible clients, to basically more high-level work. Like if I wanted like a cool Qt or XT interface, on top of NIM, you could build that in C++. So there's lots of stuff to do. Nothing. I mean, if you want to contribute to the core NIM code base, it's probably though worth learning Rust. And there's some great online courses on that. I personally recommend the Rust book. What's it called? I think it's No Starch Press. I'll put a link in. In terms of other things that like people can do to contribute, like again, like if we are actively looking to get more mobile expertise, so mobile programmers and Windows programmers, I mean, definitely there will be NIM, just look at the NIM job board. We're hiring in those areas if you're looking for a job, and otherwise we should have programming bounties and stuff eventually as things get a bit more mature. And that's it. Yeah, there's basically something for everyone to do. So.
It's also one of the reasons why the last level 3 of Shipyard is split into 3 tracks, right? So Anderson, if you are concerned about not having technical skills enough, the squad formation that Hux is leading as part of the visionary track is exactly for people like you. And what we want to see is people, with non-technical skills like writing or designers or artists. We can pair you up with, operators and developers, and because we actually do need, squads that have a little bit of everything, right? So, for example, if you have a squad that has a bunch of node operators in there, node operators, they do need to also promote their node business, right? To attract stake and that sort of thing. And one way of promoting yourself is to write about the kind of operations that you run, to make sure that you're a trusted node operator in the ecosystem, to have a brand, so to speak, a kind of nice visual that goes along with your operations and that sort of thing. So there's lots of space to contribute for everybody.
Are you guys ready for a bit of a lighter question? I think this is a good one from Stefanski. Maybe a bit more relaxed question for everyone in the company. What is the best part of working at the company? What is a typical day like for you at the company? I'll let you start, Harry.
I mean, everyone's day is different. So I know for the devs, there's daily stand-ups, and then everyone's assigned tasks, and people do those tasks. For myself, I typically have meetings, I would say about 5 or 6 hours a day. And the rest of my time is unfortunately spent checking messages and replying to messages. And then I try to carve out 2 or 3 hours a day for writing and research and catching up with papers and whatnot. So yeah, if I'm lucky, I get 3 or 4 hours of writing in a day, but usually it's a bit less, and usually messages and other emergencies take a bit more. So yeah, I mean, I more or less work on them from when I wake up till reasonably late. And yeah, but every person has like a different thing they kind of focus on, right? So what Jaya will be doing will be very different than what, for example, like Alexi will be doing, which will be different than what from, let's say, one of the devs like Andrew will be doing.
I can say what my favorite part is, which is that NIM as an architecture is a pretty fascinating architecture. So you can dive really deep, right? So my favorite parts of the week are definitely the times when we actually like earlier today we went, I had a deep meeting with Claudia, who's our chief scientist, Mark Sinclair, who's our head of engineering, on a few token economic questions that we're trying to work out. And so those moments where we all get together in a room and solve some of the problems that we're facing, those are definitely my favorite moments, because the NIM as a team is a pretty incredible kind of variety of skills in the room that range from the economic and technical through to the social and the political. And so bringing all that together in a room and seeing the kind of the outcomes of that brain meld is definitely the favorite parts of my week. Yes, I did hear that your wife liked my voice in the opening ceremony, Uncle Lem. That's very nice. Say hello to your wife. Yeah, and in terms of my day, it sounds like fairly similar to Harry's. I try to scrape as much time as I can together for writing, but most of the time actually goes on meetings and just making sure that all the teams understand what they're working on and what the priorities are, and how we can move together.
Well, in my case, my favorite thing is basically what Jaya just said. It's the incredible variety of people at NIM, which makes it very fun. There's basically a bit of everything. But the other thing is just to work with truly brilliant people every day. I've been with NIM for almost 2 years at this point. I've learned more than in any other 2 years in my life combined, probably even in my first 2 years in life. So that's also beautiful. The other thing, which is kind of like a double-edged sword, is that we are changing a lot. So NIM has been growing, NIM has been formalizing. We are somewhere in between a startup and a proper company, and that always comes with a whole bunch of change constantly, which is great because I'm never bored. But it's also kind of, I have a bit of change fatigue at this point, which is a fun problem to have. So these probably are my favorite things about NIM. And then my day looks like, so I lead the community manager team at NIM. So my day is a whole bunch of work with them to make sure that our channels run smoothly and are free of spam. And you guys are informed about everything that happens with the project. Lately, of course, for the past few months, it's been heavily shipyard focused. It took quite a bit of effort to put everything together, to build the curriculum. This was the first project of this caliber that I ever managed, which was really challenging, but also really fun. I also got to be, in this specific context, the boss of my boss. So Jaya was sort of reporting to me when it comes to shipyard, which is also fun. Hopefully I was a fair boss, Jaya. Was I?
You were a fantastic boss. Very level-headed, very fair.
Thank you. She was scared. She didn't want to. She couldn't have said anything else. Anyways, that's basically all there is to it.
Okay, what other questions have we got?
Let me find. We have this whole collated list. Okay. So there's a new question about our plans in Africa. Mr. Nex used the word infiltrate Africa. What are our plans to infiltrate Africa? Well, I can already say that we recently set up a Nigerian community group. So if you are from Africa, then make sure to join that. We are, of course, very aware of the adoption in Africa of crypto in general. So there's a whole bunch of very open-minded people in big need of some kind of a technology to replace some failing systems in that region, and that I would assume that also includes privacy. So just like any other part of the world, Africa is of course also in grave need of privacy. Where that plan also can include you, if you are from Africa, is to help work us out the narratives that work when it comes to privacy in Africa. Because what we notice is that when we talk about the usual like Western sort of lens, or like talk about privacy in the usual Western lens, mass surveillance, NSA, all of that doesn't really touch our African communities. So if you have any ideas on how to bring the conversation about privacy closer to African audiences, then make sure to let us know, because we're very much looking for that kind of stuff right now.
I mean, I would say that NIM in 2019 or 18, we did our first AMA with the Nigerian users group. And I think, privacy is maybe not a word that's used a lot in Africa, but the word freedom is, and, we do consider ourselves part of the technologies like NIM are very useful as part of a kind of larger fight for freedom against colonialism and imperialism, which have definitely caused more than their share of problems in Africa. And I think hopefully people can understand that we need technologies that support human freedom. We do have a lot of, I haven't been to Nigeria personally. We do hope to go at some point. We have via Binance, I've met many entrepreneurs from Nigeria, so we know they're out there, and a lot of them are very, I think Yele in particular is very supportive of NIM. He was a former Nigerian Binance Angels employee. I'm not really sure. And now he has his own wallet. And so we do hope to have more time in Africa. I have met the president of Ghana once, and we discussed cryptocurrency and NIM. He was interested, but I haven't gotten my any emails back. But I think Ghana is probably somewhere on our hit list. I have spent time in Senegal and Tanzania, and again last year in Ethiopia at the Internet Governance Forum. So we try our best, but we do really need to have, I think, a larger presence, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa.
Cool. We've got a question here from B, asking, or basically saying it would be very helpful if we could get a representative for each language to translate every lecture and explain the concepts. Yes, we are doing our best to do that. We have our incredible community managers who are translating things as quickly as possible. The blog posts should all be translated already, meaning the readings for every level. But B, if there's a specific language that you need that's not currently being translated, just drop a comment and we'll try and see if we can facilitate it. Then we've got another question from 100. Is it possible or planned for servers and clients to be only reachable through NIM in a similar fashion to Onion addresses? That's a good question. Harry, do you want to respond to that? I know that Max from DevRel has...
Yeah, I mean, currently how NIM works is that you access service providers through NIM. And to some extent, those service providers can choose to be only accessible via NIM. And in that case, they do kind of act like Onion hidden services. Now, what's different is you have to remember Onion and hidden services, they use a DHT for direction, for essentially passing their nodes within the Tor network. And that kind of makes sense with Tor, but that design doesn't easily transplant to mixednet. So you do have this notion in NIM of SERBs, and for per message based interactions, you can imagine that the SERBs kind of also can act a little bit like hidden services, insofar as you can, drop your serve off at a mixed node and pick it up later and so forth and so on. So that could be useful. But we don't have a plan to kind of drop a DHT style Onion hidden service thing on top of NIM yet. Part is because it's not really needed right now. And part of it is also it's just, I would say, not super high priority. We had tried to discuss the topic with the Tor folks, and we haven't made super much progress because they're busy and we're busy. But it's definitely, we have discussed, maybe we should get something like a .nim address. And I think that would be cool. And but we again, it's kind of one step at a time. So for NIM, there's a lot of cool stuff we could do. And if someone wants to build something on top of NIM that looks like a hidden service, that would be great. And we're not going to stop anyone from doing that. Again, I would say that NIM services are, they're not completely hidden, but they're kind of you can make services today that are only accessible via NIM pretty easily. But if you want your service to be hidden within the NIM network, so that the NIM network doesn't know it exists, that's much harder, but probably possible using this kind of back and forth the SERBs. But I would, we aren't building that right now because everyone's focused on getting the NIM Connect VPN stuff working, because we think that's going to get more users than anything else.
Yep. We've had a few questions here about Spanish language squads. Daniel, are you in the chat? Are you in the AMA?
here I am.
Great, great. Do you want to just tell people where to reach you for Spanish language during Shipyard?
Yeah.
I think we can do one. I think we can do one better than that. There's a really great question from Anderson, and I was hoping you were here, Daniel. I was just about to ask whether you're here. Is there any plan to expand NIM presence to LATAM? There's quite a bit of work going on that front, so maybe I'll start with this.
Yeah, there is a lot of plans actually to to grow in Latin. So I live in Ecuador, here in Quito, since a lot of years. I'm from Spain, but I live here. But also we have a nice and beautiful community that is growing very fast. And it's not only tech, but also geopolitical, political, a very creative community, which is shared across the region. Like there is probably like 6 people in Colombia, like 6 people in Brazil, another 8 or 10 in Mexico. Here in Ecuador, we are like 3 or 4. And we are just trying to grow. Now I'm going to travel to LatVidConf next month. So I will be in Buenos Aires. If there is someone here who is from Buenos Aires or Uruguay and want to come to see me to LatVidConf and to have a chat, I will organize a meeting with some communities there. So yes, you can also go directly to the Telegram channel in Spanish, which is very easy to share. I'm going to share that in the chat in some moments, or to the Portuguese one. Also try to follow us on the Twitter for Latin America, for the Spanish language, and for Brazilian, for Portuguese language. Yeah, Woods is put in there. That's the correct link. So you can enter there and you can ping me. I am one of the admins of the channel. And for sure, I'm going to give you all the support you want. Also, other guy was asking about creating squads for Latin America. I think Supermeya said something about this, that he is trying to, his participation, he's actually involved in a beginning of a squad called Tropi Operadores, but also he's trying to set up another one for Brazilian people, because Brazilian people speak Portuguese and they love to talk on their own language. So probably they're going to be like 2 squads from the Shipyard Academy in next weeks. I'm very happy about that. And if someone wants to join, we can discuss that for sure. And also we can create more squads, like it depends where are you, because as much localized they are, as I think is the better. Like if we are able to create one squad from, I don't know, Argentina, and another from Mexico, it will be fantastic. But we can start with one big Latin unity, squad community, to be more strong, and then we can go making another squad, like make forks. That's a fantastic idea for sure. I think I give some info about all this. If you have more questions, don't hesitate to contact me here or in Telegram, or I will put my contact here in the chat soon. Thanks.
And with that, I think we arrived at the end of both the AMA, because we're 2 minutes to the end, and also to the end of our questions. I can't see any other question that we didn't answer. Bikram, if you want, you can sneak one in there. Are you still here? Unmute yourself and feel free to ask away.
So, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey,
yes.
How's it going?
Yes, absolutely fine. So actually, my question is like, yesterday I talked about something like the Reddit, So I see there is some negative comments on the Reddit. So what's your, strategy to attract this Reddit community where you can see there is definitely some kind of intellectual community out there, not like Twitter? And is there any plan for the Reddit community?
Yeah, there is. So, I mean, as you might have noticed, I don't know how long you've been with us active in the community, Bikram, but we are doing more and more Reddit AMAs. So hopefully, and we are seeing like fairly good responses there. So we're definitely planning to increase our presence on Reddit. If anyone has any particular pointers, like the social media landscape right now is in a lot of transition. Twitter is going off in one direction. We've got kind of major contenders like TikTok kicking off, of course, but that doesn't quite serve other purposes. So, if people have good ideas for what types of platforms is good for NIM to be on, feel free to suggest it. Right now, we're also trying out Twitch, because Twitch does seem to have quite an interesting community as well. and of course remaining on Twitter for the time being. So, but Reddit is better for the kind of deeper conversations that we like to have. You're correct.
All right, and with that, I think.
Oh wait, we have the secret word, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we do. I was just about to get. I didn't forget it. So, Salazar, can you please drop the link in the chat to claim your POAP for this event? Everybody, it's been really fun. So thanks for joining, everyone. Wonderful questions. Hopefully, we managed to answer at least most of your questions, if not all of them. We're going to be trying to do as many of these as possible over Shipyard, so that if you just feel like talking after hearing us talk so much, or if you have any specific questions about the curriculum, about what you learned about, or anything else, then we will try to give you a chance to do so. Now, a question is whether we're going to keep using Jitsi. It worked fairly well, so why not? We'll see. But we may actually switch platforms, so stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. We're of course going to be keeping you posted on the Discord Shipyard announcements chat, and also on Element and Telegram as well. The link to claim the POAP should be shared in the chat momentarily, and the password is Privacy Loves Company, all in one word, like that. I just sent it in chat. Big thanks for joining, everybody. Any closing thoughts? Maybe Hux, Jaya, Harry, Daniel.
Good luck on the good luck on the exam next week. Very much looking forward to catching you all again end of next week for a great fireside chat that we're going to have with quite a lot of the members of the Universal Privacy Alliance that Harry just mentioned earlier on.
And I'd like to mention just really quickly, one of the reasons we do Shipyard is because, for those of you who are interested in privacy, you can't just go to, there's no, to our knowledge, other online courses that teach privacy enhancing technologies. There's a few courses at universities in London and Leuven, but there aren't many, and we don't want people to have to pay to go to university and learn about privacy. And there's no online courses as well, and Coursera and whatnot that are any good. So, for better or for worse, we're the ones doing the privacy course, and I hope everyone enjoys it. It's a real new experience, and you can't just get a textbook. You can't really learn it anywhere else. So I think it's really important, not just for NIM, but for the kind of the wider effort to reclaim digital privacy.
Without further ado, go Bikram. If you want, you can sneak one more in.
So I just have a question, this Shipyard is a really good thing, and I just want to say, is there any possibility, getting a certificates from Mr. Harry Halpin, so that can we use in our real life, like achievement or something?
A certificate? Well, I mean, NIM isn't a university, but we could issue a certificate. Sure, that's not a problem. I mean, NIM could issue one, and some universities know about NIM, and that might be good. Some people, I'm sure we could. I'll discuss certificate issues with Jaya and everyone later, but I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, Bikram, just so you know, it's absolutely our plan to do that from NIM, like Harry mentioned, and then the aim here really is that Shipyard begins to integrate more and more with higher education institutions, because we do actually have quite a good connection to various computer sciences and privacy researchers across both Europe and the United States. So, the longer term aim here is for sure for Shipyard to begin to be more integrated with those institutions.
Yes, and it can also benefit our real lives in jobs and other things, like a achievement or like a something like that. And because the certificate has really good valuable in private sector.
Exactly.
Definitely.
It's next week.
Thank you all for coming, guys. It was amazing.
It was fun. Have fun, everybody. Have a lovely weekend, and see you next week in the classroom. Bye, everyone.